Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Face and all.
Get
the pecs in.
I know you like Adidas. That's
do.
Like our passion together. Right?
Yeah.
So welcome to the Old Farm Bus, back of the bus sessions.
Thank you.
I've got a very special guest with me today. You're going to be delighted to hear this. I've only gone and got Alex Smith. Welcome, Alex Smith, my boy. How we doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Beautiful. For those that don't know, and if you don't know what's happened to you, Alex is a part of two of incredibly successful bands really now. We've got Concrete Rose, Ferocious Dog. Alex, the single's out today. What's the single called?
It's Love Yourself.
Love Yourself. Tell us a little bit about that. What's it doing out today? Is it a lyric video you've got out?
Yeah, the single itself is not actually out for streaming today. The lyric video's out today. But it's the Love Yourself is the title track of the debut EP, and that's out next Friday, 22nd.
Next Friday. And I'll be getting that on Spotify, Deezer,
Yeah, that's on everything. To be honest, we would have liked to have put, say, the single out today with the video, but I don't know enough about the distribution site that we use to... Because I didn't want to put the single out now, put the EP out next week, and then there'd be two Love Yourselves, you know what I mean? But the single and the album version.
Who's in control in your band? You've got four of you, haven't you?
Yeah.
Who's the most in control of the distribution?
I do all of that side of things, the uploading, and then it's literally... It tends to be me and Josh.
Josh
Lewis has more creative control because he'll come with an idea for a song, and then we'll take that sort of as a team. But yeah, in terms of the management, I book most of the gigs and do the distribution things online and that sort of thing. But Josh does the videos and obviously the little promo videos, not like the ones that you do, but and just all sorts really, like the artwork and that sort of thing. He puts it all together and set the t-shirts, and he manages the money as well. So
he's a man with a Mac, isn't he?
He is, absolutely, yeah.
Literally everything he does with that Mac, he's got so much control. I literally call him all the time.
Yeah.
Just like, Josh got another problem. He's like, do X, Y, and Z, and it's done. It's sorted and fixed.
He sometimes gets his ear off with me because I'm like, say we were doing the the EP artwork a couple of days ago, and it's like, there's just some. I need it to be perfect, if you know what I mean. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. And then we're all the same, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, will you just put an apostrophe there, or yeah, because I'm really grammar and that sort of thing.
I've worked with you a few times now, Concrete Rose, and a lot of you, and to be honest, I really like that. I've worked with artists, and not mention any names, but they will tell you no. And they'll be like, no, I don't like that, or I don't want that, or that's not worked in the video. But then they don't really give any creative structure on what they want.
That's a nightmare, innit?
They don't know what they're after as well. And then you're like, oh, this is going to be tricky. Whereas when I've worked with you guys, I really like Lewis for this as well, to be honest. He's just straight up honest with you. No, that shit, it doesn't work. But
yeah.
You also know exactly what you want as well. You go and give me, even the lettering on stuff. You're like, no, the lettering doesn't work. Wrong colour. Do this.
Yeah.
And it's so helpful.
I've always had, ever since I first started, say, recording or doing anything to do with music, I've always had the same mindset that this is potentially, say, an album or a music video that I'm going to watch, that I might show to my grandkids in 50 years' time or something. So it's like, I'm sure it's the same with your own work. Like, say, if I've tracked something on drums and there's one little, say, a snare shot that's not quite perfect, and even if the rest of the band, the producer, and everybody's saying to me, it's perfect, it's bang on. If I've already heard that I don't like it, I'll be able to hear it for the rest of my life whenever I listen to that track. So it's like, I'll just be, no, I'm going to do it again.
Have you always had that attitude, even as a kid? Do you know, you see all your mates drawing absolute bonkers, and then you draw out the side of the line a bit and start again?
I've been either way. It always used to be like this in school. Say I'd get some work, and say you're writing an essay or something. I've got horrible handwriting, but I'd try to write super, super neat. And then the minute I'd done something off, I'd be like, well, it doesn't matter now. And then it'd be horrible for the rest of it. It's literally I'd try and be a perfectionist until it wasn't perfect, and then I'd go, eh. But yeah. Saying that though, it's I don't feel that way about music. It's like if it's the drumming side of things, it's got to be perfect, full stop. And then, but I'm always grateful afterwards. Even if say you've tracked something again and again and again, and eventually you'll get there, and then immediately after I'll go, so glad I did that.
You don't need to talk about like big fiery arguments you've had with the band or anything like that if it's happened. I mean, you can.
I don't have a lot of fiery arguments, to be fair, but
is there moments where that side of your perfectionist and all your mates go, no, that's great, just keep it like that. And you're like, no, 100th time, going again. Do they get annoyed with that, or are they really respectful that you want it to be as perfect as it can be as well?
Yeah, there are times when, say, a lot of, maybe not even so much the music, but a lot of the, say, the artwork for Concrete Rose and the design things where, say, me and Josh will disagree about something, and then, because obviously there's the four of us, it's me, Lewis, Josh and George. George is signed, we love him being a part of the band, but he's so much more laid back than the rest of us, so he'll just sort of think, you guys get on with it, and I'll come and play some filthy bass lines when I'm needed. So it's like, but there's a good dynamic with it being three of us, because there's always somebody who can have the deciding vote. So if it's like, even something as little as, say, where the text or the logo is positioned on the back of the EP cover, it's like, say, it happens quite a lot where me and Josh will have different ideas, or me and Lewis will have a different idea, and then Josh will come in and say, well, I like that one, and then we'll go, cool. Like, it's a democracy, and there are times when I'm really set on an idea and I get outvoted, and you're a bit like, oh, yeah.
I've had that
I think I need to convince him, but
doing a film, I've put bits in where I think I've even had it with you guys, to be honest. I've put bits in where I'm like, oh, I really like this bit. In fact, it was one of the videos what I would give, I think. Do you know when you all went into the photo booth?
Yeah,
me and Chrissy watched that, and we were like, that's our favourite bit. We love that. It's like all playful, and you were like, get rid of that. I was like, oh no. But do you know what? I've kept them all for myself, like later down the line. But the thing I really like about Concrete Rose is the dynamic you all share. So, you like the in-betweeners at all?
Yeah. I've never heard that before, but now you mention it, very, very much so, yeah.
But they're all perfect in their parts. Like, you've got crazy sexualised GA just talking absolute bonkers. Then you've got Will, but
they do liken me to Jay sometimes with some of the, just because some of the filth I come out with.
Yeah. Mate, I've heard it all. I remember, because the one thing I really think about you is if I'd have seen you at a party, sometimes I get like social anxiety and I'll go inside myself and I go into like a rave situation that I've been to or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, I'm having a bit of a moment. So I go and wander around on my own, and when you just find a vibe where you're like, I'm all about you, like, I'm gonna chill with you. You're that guy, because you're just like,
thank you.
Really happy. You're smiling, you're gleaming, you're buzzing, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. But
oh, cheers, that means a lot.
It's honest, it's true. But the one thing with Concrete Rose, you've all got so unique personalities. You're all so different, but it bloody works so well, doesn't it?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it's I remember the first session that we got together, me and Lewis, the first time I met him, I knew who he was because I was quite the fan of the Unknown Era. And then, so we got together because it was Motormouth that put us in touch, actually, because I asked him about if he knew anybody that was into reggae or just wanted to play some reggae.
So you were the catalyst of starting that part, yeah?
Yeah, it was kind of both of us from either side, because this was maybe 6 months before we actually ended up meeting. I messaged Motormouth because I was just playing some reggae on my own. And obviously I was still in Ferocious Dog and playing with other bands and stuff, but reggae's I just love it. Ever since I got into it, it's just like a 24/7 thing. I adore it. And one day I was just playing in sort of on my practice kit at home, and I just thought, I need to play this with a band. Even if it's just a bit of fun, we do some Wailers covers or something like that. So I messaged Motorbath because I'd met him recently at Splendor. Yeah. I think we played with Ferocious Dog and he did his solo set.
Sick.
And our roadie at the time, Alex, he introduced me to Motormouth, and we got chatting about sort of the maze and that sort of thing, and that entire scene, and which obviously took us on to like Unknown Era and that sort of thing. So then a few weeks later, he came to mind, and I thought he's on that scene. Unknown Era, a bit of like a ska band, not reggae, but it's a similar sort of genre. I thought I'll message him, being at the maze, like the social hub for like grassroots musicians in this area, and just see if he knows anybody that might be up for it. And he said, yeah, the bassist from Unknown Era, I'll speak to him, but I know he spoke about doing a solo, like writing his own stuff. And then he came back to me shortly after and said, oh, apparently he's got a drummer in place now. And I thought, all right, no worries. And then it was maybe, like I say, 6 months after that, just randomly put in an inbox with Motor Marth and Lewis, and he just said, "Oh, Alex, meet Lewis."
No, I got shivers on that. That's so nice.
And then literally we just like, yeah, let's do it next Wednesday. And we met up at I can't remember the name now, one of the studios in Nottingham, and just had a proper laugh. And I just thought like straight away, I just thought this guy's a dick, like me, like.
Yeah.
I just thought he was hilarious,
I
and
need to get involved in that.
and like everybody says about Lewis, is his laugh is just infectious. So
Mate.
it's so rewarding when you make Lewis laugh, because he's like,
It's like a game, isn't it? It's like, if I can get Lewis to laugh, I know I feel good.
yeah. And it wasn't just that. Like he brought as well. We played the Runaway, which is on the new Unknown Era album, which is out this week as well.
Yeah.
That track, he played us that, and we sort of put it together in our very first session.
How does that one go? Like, can you do Runaway?
You know what? I can't remember now.
Is that
We've not played it for a long
quite
time.
upbeat one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I think I did that. Like, I'm gonna interject in your story because, like, during your time of looking for one, I reckon that was probably in a really similar time that Lewis was coming here all the time.
Yeah.
And we're both bums, basically, bumming it out. And we'd be sitting on FIFA all day, eating. I'd go in, I'm making a Tuna Pitta. I've got him on the army, I don't know if you know. But we made this Tuna Pitta song. But it's really beautiful hearing that, because we're both sat in the room together, and we both had dreams, ambitions, thoughts, ideas of what we wanted to be. And I'd be sitting there on FIFA like, yeah, I really want to like start a business or get something that people want to come to and be proud of. And he'd be talking like, yeah, I really want to do a band and all that. And in the reality of it, if we were looking at ourselves, we're like, why are we playing FIFA then? We just sat there with our literal pants on or boxers on and just sat there with our bellies out talking about it. But while we were doing that, and I don't know if it's energy, the secret, whatever it was, but channeling something and saying what we want and putting our intentions out there, things were bubbling behind, and you was getting a similar feeling, like, I want to start this band, I want to do this thing. So that feels really special to me. When you were saying it, I was like, wow. And especially with Motormouth, who is just the pinnacle of all, like, oh, so Motormouth introduced me, or Motormouth.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Motormouth, you beautiful bugger. You're always bringing stars together. And
He's like the centre of the spider web, isn't he? Puts everything.
It's just so cool. I did one day just have a little word. I was like, mate, are you from another planet or anything? I don't think you're real at the minute. I want to just pull your little hair one day, pull it up, and a little alien pop out, because he's a bit weird. Beautifully weird.
See that.
I've not seen him for a while as well. I need to get in touch. It's really nice hearing your stories, because we didn't know each other before Concrete Rose.
No.
But all these people you're mentioning and Unknown Era and all that, I've been such good friends with for such a long time. So it's really nice hearing how stories align and how people meet. Nottingham's a great hub for that. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially, I had you on Facebook, and I knew of Rhythmical Mike.
Yes.
Of course. Who doesn't? And
bless him, I bet you're thinking.
But it seems weird now that because we're so close to each other as well.
Yeah.
And we're being out of the city, being further north. You'd have thought if anybody had known each other, it would have been me and you. Because, like I say, those guys are all sort of in the city, and they've grown up together.
Yeah.
And then, whereas you'd think that me and you being
similar cliques, but so where were you growing up?
Like Kirkby, Nashville.
Yeah, I know it.
Lovely.
Just funny, isn't it, hearing these certain towns, because they've all got like stories and connotations straight behind them. And especially when I go to Nottingham and everyone's like, "Where you from?" I go Ripley, and they're like, they just look at you in a way it can't be helped. They're just like, isn't that where all the racists live? And it's like, well, essentially, but there's a lot of good people in there too.
Yeah, of course.
It's a special place to be sometimes. So with that, like, when did you get into the Nottingham scene and get into collaborating? And how many bands have you been in as well?
I've been in a lot of bands. Ferocious Dog I've been with for 3 years now. It was a huge turning point when I joined Ferocious Dogs. That's when I started playing professionally.
Were they big at the time as well, or?
Yeah, they were. They were always sort of, when I was playing in my smaller bands and that, it was always like Ferocious Dog with the big band, and certainly in our area with Ferocious Dog being from Warsop, which is just above Mansfield, so it's not far from Kirkby. They were certainly on like what little there is of a Mansfield scene. Ferocious Dog were like the band from that area, so I knew of them, and we had a lot of friends of Ferocious Dog, that sort of thing. And then they'd just done their first sold out show at Rock City.
Nice.
And then that was all over my social media and stuff. So I was like, God, these guys are killing it. And it was shortly after that when maybe 3-4 months after that when I ended up joining the band.
Well, how did it all come to be that? Because that's exciting.
I was playing in a local punk band in Sutton called Hung Like Hanratty. I've been playing with them for...
Like, called what, sorry?
Hung Like Hanratty. They're like it's like a comedy punk sort of thing. You know, like the Mac Lads.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Okay.
Maybe even cruder still. But
Oh, wow.
and it was like that was just loads of fun. And then where was it? I filled in for a band. I think I was filling in for Blind Fever, who were like a country band almost. From Warsop, and we played.
Have they ever played Bearded Theory or anything like that?
I bet they will have
I've
done.
definitely heard that name, and it rang a bell then.
I played at Why Not with them,
Okay.
and we did a show. I can't remember what it was, or I might have even just gone to watch him. But we're in Mansfield, and I met Scott, who was the drummer at the time from Ferocious Dog.
Right.
And we're just chatting at the bar, me being a drummer and that, and he happened to mention that he teaches as well. And so a few months later, I was sort of practicing at home, and you know, like you do as a musician, I hit a plateau.
Yeah.
And it's because it's always been like that for years, because I practice every day and I've done for as long as I can remember.
Wow.
And it's like I'll go through so many weeks or so many months of thinking, like feeling like I'm getting better and better and better, and I'll be buzzing, and then you just hit a plateau, and it can last for months. And it's like I'll still get up and play every day, but I might be playing the same things if you know what I mean.
Mate,
and I don't feel like I'm getting any better.
It takes a lot of a person to do that, though. As soon as people feel discomfort, hit plateaus, they just sign out straight away.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the key was that I stuck to it from day one, and now I know how amazing it feels when you break that plateau.
Yeah.
So but I remember one time I was particularly frustrated, and I thought I'm going to message Scott, sort of a drummer playing on a high level. I know he does lessons. And I thought I'm going to see if I can go for some lessons with him. And like I say, I was already playing in bands and stuff, and because there are a lot of musicians that may be too proud to go and have a lesson.
Yeah.
And I thought there's no harm in learning from somebody that's twice my age and has been doing it for since before I was born. They've got all that experience, and I thought there's nothing to be ashamed of to go and learn or get some advice from somebody that's better than you are. So I went to Scott, and he started teaching me, and it was great. It got me out of the plateau, and I was learning super quick again, really enjoying it. So I just carried on. And then a few months later, he told me before he told the rest of the band that, like, I'm thinking about leaving Ferocious Dog, because he'd got with a new girlfriend, and they were sort of settling down, and he didn't want to be away all the time playing. So then he said, I'm thinking about recommending you. And I was just like,
Wow.
I was like, really? Great, yeah, sound. Go ahead. And then, he did. And then it took a while, and then eventually got back to me because he's sort of thinking about how to tell him and when to tell him and that sort of thing. And this was over Christmas, so it was a really quiet period for gigging, so he didn't really see him as often, if you know what I mean. And then they finally got in touch, and Dan spoke to me. Dan's like the band manager with Ferocious Dog, our violin player, and he said, do you want to meet up and have a bit of a practice? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I think we did one practice, and then we went to Holland and did 4 shows.
Wow. What was that practice like? What was that, or even the moment of going to that practice?
I loved it because it's like I say, I'm really big on practicing. So it's like I'd smashed the songs to bits for the weeks running up to that, and I felt really confident. I thought I've put in the work. I know how to play the songs. So we got there. I played them. They said, "Cool, let's go and play a gig." And then
Wait, just try and keep that in your front of your mouth.
Yeah.
That's right. And where did you go? Holland, you said?
Yeah, we went to the Netherlands. We do a lot in the Netherlands with Ferocious Dog. We went over for 4 shows. I can't remember where they were now. I know we finished in Amsterdam, and 3 other cities. But yeah, it was just like sort of throw them in at the deep end. It was me and another guy that joined at the same time, and it was great. We just had a laugh, hell of a lot of drinking.
I gotta say, mate, as well. Like today, when you were like, "Mate, I'm gonna get you on a podcast," and you were like, "What am I gonna talk about?" Like, you don't realise you got so many stories behind it. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
24.
Wow, you've got so much going on, dude. You've had so much life experience already. That's incredible. So, and what's it like having fan bases all over the world?
It's amazing. It's great. Like, I've had a lot recently, I think, with people being in lockdown, where you'll get like a message saying, because we did interviews with Ferocious Dog, like live streamed interviews a couple of weeks ago, And a lot of people were saying like, oh, my son's a drummer, he's 9 or something, and he wants to ask for some, like, say, how did you get into it, or how old were you when you started playing and stuff like that. And that's just like such a privilege to be able to be looked up to and be able to tell people what I wanted to hear when I know I was in that same position.
I've had a couple of podcasts recently, and I had the guy Zach Purdy on, and we were just talking about passion. And you know, the greatest thing in the world when you first get into it, it's a great feeling. But even better for both of us, we thought anyway, like the end goal is passing it on and sharing it. And
Yeah, of course.
pushing that towards. So, and we even spoke about, like, we got into our passion from a vanity point of view. We wanted to just be seen. Like, I spent a lot of my life or time, I had bullying a lot of the time. I didn't feel part of the family so much, quite a lot of things. So I built up this idea. I just wanted to be appreciated in some way. So I didn't have a passion to do that. When I discovered poetry for whatever reason, lots of reasons, it just come to me one day. And I performed, and I got claps, I got cheers, all these feelings. It was great, and I ran with that for a bit. And that was like calmed down after a while, and then the feeling come back when I started going into teaching, and I started sharing it, and I was like, so I got this passion, I had this vanity point of view, ran with my ego a bit, but then it was like, no, I was using it for a good purpose, I was using it for a reason, so it always seems to come back round to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
When did you pick up the sticks? When did you go into drumming?
Well, I'd wanted to for a while. I remember when I went up to, Ashfield School.
Yeah.
So I was in year 7, and I applied to do drum lessons, and there was like a bit of a waiting list thing, and then didn't hear anything back, and it went for a few months. And then I remember somebody just coming into a lesson and saying, "Oh, I'm here for Alex Smith." I mean, my brother as well at the time. I'm here for Alex and Greg for a drum lesson, and we were like, "What?" Because we'd not heard out for ages, and we sort of forgotten about it. And she was like, "So I've just been to fetch you for a drum lesson." We knew nothing about it, and we're like, "Oh, we can get out of English, all right." So we went, and we just did the first lesson, and it was just like, "This is sick." And or it was more when the teacher himself, Chris Livingston, his name was at Ashfield, he just sort of, like you do when you're teaching people. I've taught a couple of people, but nothing sort of serious. One of the first things that I'd like to do is just sort of play a little. So like what Chris did with us, and I just sort of watched him play, and immediately my face just lit up. Just watching somebody play that well, I was just like, it just made me so happy to see. I was like, I want to do that, and then just carried on from there. Really,
I remember the first time I went into school and I was sweating buckets and all these things. Or it might not have been the first time, but it was at the start. And I went in with somebody, and I wanted to perform, but this guy who I went in with was like, "No, don't perform." He was being like egotistical, all these things. So we didn't perform, and in my opinion, the session didn't go very well. It was like a really dull session. Every time I've been in, started with a performance and shown a piece of myself, the kids have always gone, "Oh, that's cool." And then it goes into like this feeling, and you're vibing then, and you can work with them. And I think you've got to see that end product, that goal of what you can become.
Yeah, of course.
It's so important.
I find it really interesting on Kane's podcast when you were talking about sort of relating to the student and making them see that you're just the same as they are.
100%, yeah. It's got to get to a humanistic level first. You've got to be chatting with them on a real perspective. People just like real, don't they?
Yeah.
You can really smell when somebody's not being honest or genuine with you or authentic. It comes across. And when you saw that moment and that guy was just doing his thing, do you know why you got that drum lesson anyway? Like, just going back a little bit, and they come to say, "We've come for Alex and we're doing a drum lesson." Do you know where that come from, actually?
Yeah, so when we first went up, like I say, they were doing there was a list that, a letter that went home, and it said, "Apply here and you'll be put on a waiting list." So we did that, sent it off, and then we never heard anything for months. So I just sort of forgotten.
It was a shock then.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, there's been some mistakes." So I went anyway, and straight away it was just like, "Oh man, I love this."
And this guy, Chris, was he a mentor to you after a while, or did you spend a lot of time with him?
We did lessons throughout for the 5 years in comprehensive school, me and my brother. But it was sort of like one lesson every 2 weeks for like 20 minutes sort of thing. So it was nothing like really serious. So by the time I'd come out of that, I could hold a beat together, if you know what I mean. But I'd not really sort of... I mean, he was a great teacher. It's just that with the time restrictions and that sort of thing, with it being a school lesson. It was, I think it was about when I got to about the age of 14, I used my birthday money to buy sort of a second-hand old electric kit for the garage at home. And I got, around about the same time I discovered the album Nevermind by Nirvana, which just sort of blew my mind. And and that's when I just started playing at home on my own every day and sort of took it from there by myself pretty much.
And you were just doing it, like, you weren't forced, nobody, your mum and dad didn't have to go, right, go off and now and do an hour.
No,
you
absolutely
had
not.
First to just be in there and want to play.
Yeah, of course. I don't come from a musical family or anything. I think certainly to a really, I was the first one in my family to play an instrument and be sort of really focused and really dedicated on it. Like, I've had my brothers and sisters who played like a bit of stuff in school and that sort of thing, but I was the first one in the family to sort of just go, this is what I want to do. That's what I'm committed to.
I love hearing them stories because I do think that is quite unique, you know. Like, a lot of friends that I've spoken to, and I like speaking to my friends. I miss you guys. But they all say, like, you know, I give so much love, so much, like, respect to my dad because he sat with me, like, he got me the drums or got me the guitar or got me this, but he'd also, like, sit and play and learn it with me and then explore together. But just as a kid to be, no, this is me, I'm thirsty, I'm doing it. That, I think that's unique from my perspective of what I've heard from people.
Yeah, it was a bit like, right from the beginning, as soon as I started, I sort of decided this is what I want to do. It pretty much became my identity, if you know what I mean. It gave me a sense of purpose, and because it's like, say, like my mates in school, we all played football and everything. I had an amazing childhood, and but it's sort of everybody plays football, I think, and then it's like I wanted something different to what is the norm, and then when I started music, it was just became my life pretty much straight away.
What, like, can you remember your first ever band then? Can you remember the first?
Yeah, my first band was a band called Psycho Sally, which I started in with who was one of my best mates at the time in sixth form.
I'm hoping this story involves the where you got the name from, and I hope there's a Sally involved.
I'm going to disappoint you there. It doesn't. Whenever people used to ask, we were just like, sounded cool.
I'm dead annoyed. Do you know Ben Marshall at all? He's a producer from Derby. He's got
I may know the name.
A band called T-Fas, and they're just really cool set of lads. And I was like, their actual name is the Fine Arts Society. And we got into that. And
I thought you meant like teeth ass.
Teeth ass, yeah. Chrissy told me it was the Red Arse Society one day, and I was like, yeah, I'm interviewing him. So I'm like, are you called the Red Arse Society? He's like, no. I could just forgot the name, but it's quite a unique name. And we got into names, and I was like, oh, I'm sure that's got a story to it. It's like, no, just sounded cool. Because I've never had in my life that process of building a name with loads of people in a band and what it could come from. Rhythmical Mike, again, just hit me one day, and I was like, that works. But I love band names. Cool. Sometimes they come from a really special place.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, tell me about Sally. What's her name?
Psycho Sally.
Psycho Sally.
Yeah, we just sort of. It was my first experience of playing in a band, so it was started it from scratch. It was a little bit like me and Lewis had done with Concrete Rose, where me and my mate started it, and it's really enjoying it. I thought it was amazing at the time. We did like my first experience of sort of recording and that sort of thing, and playing gigs. And then it just sort of dropped off after a bit because we were at that age where people were going off to uni or starting to do different things. And that's when I joined Hung Like I'm Ratty, who I was talking about, who were much more of like a punk band. And then I went from them, as well as playing with other bands all over different scenes and stuff. I then went to Ferocious Dog from there.
Wow. Do you know if your life didn't have music in it then, and you didn't have them drums, do you have any imagination of where that might have been, where you could have gone with that?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm a bit of a history geek as well, so I love all that sort of thing.
This is why I love podcasts so much, because I love finding out things about my mates, and then like when we see each other again, I'm like, "What do you know?" Yeah, carry on that line, man.
But it's like, because I did quite well in school. I was going to the University of Liverpool to do a history degree, but that was around about the same time where I really got into playing in bands and stuff, and I thought, you know what, I can go to uni in a few years or whatever. I'm going to give this a proper go. So I don't spend the rest of my life thinking, what if? Yeah. And then Yeah, I'm glad I did. And doing a history degree is still something that I want to do at some point in my life. Yeah, definitely.
What would you do with that then if you?
Again, I'm not really sure, to be honest. It was a little bit like I had plenty of different paths I could have followed. It's just I sort of found music and I thought, yeah, do it to the best of my ability for as long as I possibly can, and then we'll cross the bridge when it comes to it, if it comes to it later on.
That was always something, working with you lots, I just admire. You know when somebody just switched on. They want the best for the band, they want the best for their career and path, and you glow that, you show that, and that's why you've done so successful with it. That's why it's all come to be. It's like, I do believe in the law of attraction, to be honest, and people want to work with that. So that's why I'm saying Concrete Rose in particular, because I know your story quite well, because I'm good friends with you all work so well together. You show that like serious side sometimes, or like the side that's needed. Lewis is the front man at times and just like really playful and a delight to be around. But it works so well in them little pockets. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was like right from the very beginning when we like I say, we had that first session and me and Lewis were sort of like, oh, I really enjoyed that. Let's just write some original stuff and see what happens. And I was already, like I say, I was in Ferocious Dog. I was doing that professionally, and then playing with other bands as well. I was like, we didn't start the band because we needed to play more gigs, or if you know what I mean. I was already doing plenty of that. I said like I wanted to start the band for a creative purpose
Complete love of it.
Yeah, just because I love reggae and I want to be a part of it. And
reggae, you probably know the history behind this. But was it discovered by accident? Like, did a guy I've heard Kane talk about this, but was he producing something and then he did it offbeat by accident?
Yeah, I've heard. There's a lot of different sort of twists on it. One of the famous stories is that Bob Marley, of all people, they'd left they were doing some record or something, because back then in Jamaica but they were all based on sort of American music, and they used to do like covers, but in like a ska fashion. So they do covers of like the Temptations or the Four Tops or like. Wow. Yeah, American bands and do or American vocal groups and do it.
Some actually on YouTube.
Yeah, there's loads of particularly the Wailers have covered all sorts of stuff that people don't know about. But sort of put the emphasis on the offbeat and make it into a dance tune.
My Girl or something. I've heard something the Wailers do as like, because I'm really into like Sam Cooke and Otis Redding and that soul, like really calming feel. Obviously reggae's got that. But I remember discovering, my mum told me about the Wailers and check out on YouTube, and it was all like my favourite songs that they were covering. I was like, this is a cool flick on it.
Yeah, and it's like the hidden past of like the Wailers of it, because by this point, as a ska covers band, and they were one of the first to start writing original ska music in Jamaica. They were already like a household name in Jamaica, but they really struggled to break out anywhere else. So what I was saying is, I heard a story, I think it's on the Classic Albums thing, about Catch a Fire, the Wailers' first like reggae album. The first album on Island Records. Is they'd left the delay on or something. Right, okay. So when he strummed on the onbeat, you got like the like that, and then oh, I like that, and then they just kind of took it from there. And then I mean, there were bands like Toots and the Maytals were doing a similar sort of thing at the same time.
Okay.
But it was like the Wailers kind of made it completely unique, and it ultimately was Bob Marley and the Wailers that went global. So
how creative and hard is it to play reggae drum beats? I really wouldn't know.
It's a hell of a lot harder than what people think. Of course, I would say that, but it's like, because say a good example when we started Concrete Rose, and like my mum said, "Oh, what are you playing in a reggae band for?" Like, it's easy, innit? Because you hear the music and it's really mellow, and it's like, and it might sound easy, but it's, so you learn a basic backbeat where you've got the kick on the 1 and the 3, the snare on the 2 and the 4, and it's like that, like your basic rock beat.
Yeah.
Reggae's, it was almost like I had to unlearn everything I'd spent years getting to know, flip it all on its head, and you put like, say, the standard 1 drop is just a completely different feel to anything I'd ever played before. So you were playing the snare and the kick together, and I'd never really done that before. So it's like, it was just something, as a rock drummer, it tested me so much. It took me ages to get that feel right. And I play reggae all the time, and I'm still learning. And it's like, just because it's so unique, and I think the beauty of it is that you are playing something that's hard to play, but it sounds so simple. So if like I say, my mum said about starting Concrete Roses. Oh, it sounds really easy. I think that's the beauty of it, is that it's not easy, but it sounds easy and it sounds relaxed because it's all about the feel.
It's what people want at the minute as well, just to get taken away, a bit of escapism, and just feel good, smile, and that is truly what Concrete Rose do.
Oh, thank you.
The thing there as well you're talking about, I can really relate to in poetry. So I again never was taught poetry, never shown a way of doing it. Wanted to write about a friend one day that I'd lost. And then that just took me on a path. I went for about a year of, again, just discovering things on my own, not searching it up or anything, but just writing and going, oh, that feels like a technique. I'll start doing that.
Yeah.
And it's good to be naive. It's good to just have a one way of doing it, but it's also good to learn things. And know that sometimes I feel like I've discovered a philosophy thing and it's been found actually thousands of years ago. Plato said it or something. I've discovered a new way of thinking. Oh no, it's been said before.
Oh, you first.
But with poetry, I got into just stuck in rhyming couplets. I started out and I'd just say I'd work 2 rhymes that I like, and then work in between that and say what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And then nobody really pointed this out to me. I wish they would have maybe a bit earlier. I was just doing my thing all the time, posting it out. This is mate. I'm on that. Doing my thing, but one day I just decided to look back at my stuff, see what I've been up to, and then I noticed it was heavy rhyming, but really kind of simplistic rhyme of it, and which is, I think, good sometimes. I love Mike Skinner, I love the Streets, I love Scroobius Pip, who stick to quite simplistic rhymes patterns.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'm missing a lot of scope here. There's a lot of play I could be doing, listening to Eminem a bit more, and he's really playful with his choice of rhymes.
Yeah.
And then, to start writing, I thought, okay, be conscious of it, get out of just simple rhyming patterns, and it was so hard. I was really pushing myself, and I'd sit there all day, and I'd start performing, and I'd just go straight back to the way of my old performance.
Yeah.
And when you were doing that with drums, were you really angry with yourself? Because when you're doing it on the 2 and the 4, kicking that, or the snare, then would you hit it at the wrong time? No, that's
not so much in that sense, but I've always had sort of, when I was first drumming, I learned sort of the basics and how to play a solid beat.
Yeah.
And then it's especially as a teenager, you think I want to learn all this proper fancy stuff so I can show off.
Yeah.
And it's so you learn all this fancy stuff, but when it comes down to it, when you're playing live, the crowd want to dance. And if you just play a standard rock beat or you play something really simple, they're going to love it, as opposed to you just shredding for an hour and a half and then being
can't really do much for that.
So it's like Concrete Rose is very much, say Benjamin, our first single. It's just a solid hip hop beat.
Lewis doesn't like that, does he?
I think he's warmed to it again now.
It's one of his best. Sometimes Lewis.
I love that. I love Benjamin.
How good his songs are, and he's just
it's a nightmare for that. I tell him off all the time because he's we'll write a song and he'll go, I love it, I love it, I love it, and then we'll go into track it, it's amazing, and then the second it's released, he'll go, I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm just
fed up for that. We're not playing that at this concert anymore.
I literally, with this EP that comes out next week, I said to him maybe 2 days ago, I said, if you even dare complain about any of the songs on this EP the minute it's released, then I'm done.
How many songs are on this EP?
5 tracks.
5 tracks. Do you know them off by heart?
I do, yes.
What
so there's Love Yourself, which is the title of the EP. There's Feeling Sweet.
Beautiful.
Rebel, which is featuring Chloe Rogers.
Do I know Rebel? I will know them.
Rebel, that's the one. We've been playing all these for quite a while live, apart from Rebel. Rebel's one of the ones we've not played as much. It's much more of a mellow roots reggae sort. It's a longer track and it's all about the feel sort of thing. Awesome. I love it personally, being a big reggae fan. Then there's Move Forward, and there's If I Fall, which was one of the first songs we wrote, or Lewis brought to the band and we sort of arranged together.
Are you as well really into lyrics and things? Because the one thing I really obviously taking as a poet, but Lewis's lyricism and how he can write and how he creates. Do you get to listen to that much, or are you just in your zone, he's in his zone, or have you been on stage and when he says something and you're like, oh yeah, that's powerful?
Yeah, definitely. I love his lyrics as well because it's what's the word? Like it's thought provoking, but it's also really simple. If you know what I mean. It'll be like a really simple rhyme, but there's a lot of meaning behind it, and it's which especially for reggae is perfect because
Simplicity is key.
yeah, exactly. And you want people dancing, and then at the same time, if you sit back and you listen to the lyrics, you go, "Ah, that's interesting," and like, yeah, just right from the beginning, that was something when I thought this guy can write.
Yeah, he's just got a natural ability to it. I've seen him in a day just go, do you know what? I think a day off for you for now. And he'll sit and write, and I'm like, what have you done? And I'll be trying to write, and then I listen to it, I'm like, oh, God, that's really, really good. Such a talent. To work with that and have you at your best, optimum, like your place, oh, mate, it fuses together, doesn't it?
Yeah, we said, like in that very first session, we said that, like I was saying earlier, we've not started this because we need to play more gigs because we're both pretty busy musicians at the time. But I said that if we're going to do it, let's do it properly. Let's give it our all, start this band from scratch and do just the very best we can. And then obviously got to a point where we're like, we just want to play as much as possible when I'm not with Ferocious Dog and he wasn't with Unknown Era and that sort of thing.
And do you feel really solid now, you lot? Because you've had shakes with other people in bands. Other members, like, do you four just seem like this is our four now?
Absolutely, definitely, yeah. It was just like getting Josh in. We're like,
who chose that? That's a good one.
Well, actually, funnily enough, we right at the beginning when it was just me and Lewis, I said, "Oh, what about him with the dreads from Unknown Era? Can't we get him on guitar?"
Yeah.
I thought he looks the part, and then, but Lewis had been in bands with Josh since primary school or however young, and he was like, "Oh, I kind of wanted to do something a bit different," and then I was like, "Fair enough." And then we got Giuseppe in on keys, who was amazing, and then after he was with us for a few months, he was on Benjamin, the first single, with the B-side Morning Sun. He was on Slew Dem as well, which was the follow-up. And then he ended up moving on, and then Louis said, all right, let's give Josh a go.
Yeah.
And then Josh came in on guitar, and then he said, yeah, I'll just learn keys, I'll do both. And we're like, can't just learn keys like that. And then he just came back the next session, he'd bought a keyboard, and he was like, oh yeah, and just sort of picked it up, and just, we never looked back really from there.
You just pick up an instrument now and learn it, like work it all out? Or
funnily enough, I just bought a guitar last week, so with this lockdown, me and my sister, we bought a guitar each and we're sort of learning together, and it's made quite a lot of fast progress, I think.
I'm not in the right circles for it, aren't you?
Yeah,
you should be doing
and
all right.
I've always thought that if learning drums first is the way to go, because you get that sense of time and you get that sense of rhythm. So then now having learning to play the guitar, I'm already in time. You know what I mean?
Again, it's a funny thing to talk about because when music, I don't know if you know, but I was very naughty at school. I got asked to leave in the end. Lots of things happened. I just didn't go to lessons. I would be daft as anything. So all this discovering has happened so late on in my life, like 22, 23, and people would give me beats or whatever. Oh, I like your lyrics, or I like this, try doing it on this. I didn't know fuck all about rhythm, I didn't know fuck all about all these things, and I'm doing it in a really weird way and rushing things, and I didn't get it, it didn't go in my head, so I've had to just go on YouTube tutorials and find out stuff, but drum seems to be the first one to go into if you're going in music, to get a grasp of it and get that basics down.
Well, it's building from the ground up. The drums are the foundation of every band, so I
was just saying, there's a myth as well, isn't there? Do you think, or it might not be a myth, I'd be really interested to hear your verdict, but are you built and born with rhythm? Can you learn rhythm? What do you think to that? Like, some people just can't comprehend it and can't do it?
Yeah, I've often wondered about that, because you get a lot of people who say, like, oh, you play drums, like, oh, I'd love to have played an instrument, but I've got no rhythm. And I'm always like, you can learn it, in my opinion. I don't think I was born with any special ability to play music. It's just that I picked it up and I practiced and I worked so hard at it for so many years that I can do it. And that's how I feel about, say, like the guitar, or if I was to pick up any other instruments, I'd be like, I'm under no illusions that it takes a hell of a lot of hard work to learn an instrument. So it's like, I think anybody can do anything as long as you put the time in.
It's a lot of a cop-out as well, isn't it? Like, you picked up that instrument, but also there was something in you where you were like, this is great. Like, this is thirsty. I want to know everything about it. I want to dive into it. So you'll do anything it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are like, oh, just don't have it. I don't have it. So they won't
Yeah,
start.
definitely.
They won't bother trying. I had it with podcasting. I've had it with filmmaking. I can't actually describe to you how many times I've failed. How many times I've been back in the room. The timing's out. That something just goes wrong and it's a whole project done.
Yeah.
But I don't just go, that's it. I'm not a filmmaker. I don't have an ability for it. Shut it all off. I think I saw a quote the other day. It might have been on Instagram, bless me. But it was like Steve Jobs. And somebody said he didn't just go in his room one day, build an iPhone, come out and go, look what I've got. He had like a million failures, a million mistakes. And then one day suddenly he slipped on the iPhone and there you go. So that tenacity you've got it's special. Like it's not very in my circles anyway. Like I've just not seen it as strong as what you show, what you seem to possess. Yeah,
I don't want to put sort of limitations on what I can do. Even if I am wrong and one day I try something and I go, I can't do this, but now I think it's just a better mindset to have that. If I see something I like, I think I could learn to do that. If you know what I mean.
That's something, again, I'm glad I jumped into. I was watching music videos and films and all these things, and like, why don't I just give it a go? Like, why, if I'm really sitting there and enjoying it, first of all, I'm sure I love the process, but second of all, like, I'll be giving people that enjoyment that I'm getting from that film that I'm watching. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing that I thought, like I say, I was going to go to uni and then I'd started in bands, and I thought, when I was really weighing up those options, I just thought, why don't I just give it a go? And then if it doesn't work, then even if it all ends tomorrow, I've had an amazing time and I'll never regret doing it.
I'll tell you one thing I want to ask you now as well is, what's your favourite time of history? What's your favourite point of history? I've just got into Vikings. Actually, I've watched it all now. But you'll be able to tell me this. How factually correct is it? Because me and Chrissy were searching things up every episode after, and we're like, "Oh, Mercy was a play. Oh, this was," and it actually like felt I was learning, I was enjoying it. Yeah, what was your favourite moment in it? Because I've really got into Viking history.
Funny you should say that because I love Vikings. Anything Vikings. I was a massive Robin Hood fanatic as a kid, growing up in this area, and it's everywhere. I grew up on the BBC version of Robin Hood on BBC with Jonas Armstrong, Keith Allen as the sheriff.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with that as a sort of a young teenager. I just grew up. I had the box sets, watch it every day, and it's in fact years on. Sorry, just on a slight tangent. We got a gig booked with Ferocious Dog to play in Stroud at a venue called the Marshall Rooms. So we got there and we sound checking on stage, like sort of early afternoon, before doors were open and everything. I looked across. I just saw Keith Allen with a pair of glasses on and a jumper dressed like an old man sweeping floor. What? And I was playing going. And obviously I was starstruck. I'm like, John. Going, is that who I think it is? And it turns out it was his venue and he was the promoter. He booked us. And then after the sound check, he come into our dressing room, buzzing to meet Ferocious Dog. And I was just like... And I'd told him after the sound check, I was like, you see who that was? And I was like, proper like, oh my god!
Did they all know who it was as well? Like, were they all big on?
Yeah. They knew who he was from the. I'm going to look really stupid now, but what was the football song he did? I don't want to get mixed. Vindaloo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They knew him all off that and everything, and then those guys had met him at Glastonbury before when they'd played Glastonbury before I joined. But I was saying to those, like, I used to watch him every day as a kid, and then he'd come in the dressing room, like I say, like, Ferocious Dog, come around shaking our hands, and then our lead singer Ken he just stopped him and went, he loves you. Like that. And I was just sat there like, you dick. It was so embarrassing.
You genuinely need one of them guys in your band, don't you? To show you up at any moment.
Oh, man. That was my moment. But, so like I say, I was a big Robin Hood fan in terms of history. And then, because it was local. And then I remember I did a history GCSE and we did a big part on the local area and the mining and everything. And that took my interest massively. And then I got really into Vikings and that sort of thing. So, in fact, we did a DNA test recently, my parents, and it came back to say that the kids, were 6.5% Scandinavian and the rest was English. And I was like, oh, cool. So, it explains the blonde hair, blue eyes. And I was like,
I can see that totally now you said it.
And the beard, of course, the ginger beard.
Yeah, he's supporting this brand new beard, and I'm very excited about that. I want to see how far it gets down.
It's a new addition. In fact, I did say at the beginning of the lockdown, that my aim was to go for Tom Hanks at the end of Castaway.
Oh, God.
So, that big thing and all the hair. I thought, being as I'm stuck inside anyway, it's just a bit of fun.
Because he got COVID, didn't he? He got diagnosed.
He did,
with it.
yeah.
And just following his Instagram story is one of the funniest things.
I've not
ever.
seen
Like,
that.
Oh, mate. Because he was in a full isolation booth. I mean, he clearly kitted it out and all that, but he's having checks on. But he built a little will symbol.
Oh, did he?
And he was just doing little updates like, day 62. I've got a lot of time for him. He's a cool guy. I hope just got a full out. I hope nothing like bad ever comes of his name. Do you know, like some artists that you love and you spend time in, some celebrities you look up to, and then it comes out. Obviously, Jim will fix it for now. but
Luckily for me, it's before my time.
Yeah, but their names just get disgraced, and you're like, don't you dare do that to Tom Hanks. Don't be an idiot.
Yeah, it's one of my mates who in Ferocious Dog's bassist, John. We get on really, really well. He's covered in tattoos. He is a tattoo artist. And he said one day, he just said, never get a tattoo of an artist that's still alive, just in case something comes, or even shortly after they've died, because that's usually when things come out. So I tend to listen to that advice.
Somebody must be just like ready to press the button. They're like, gone.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
Now. So, do you know what's next for you, music? Oh, wait, we need to go to Vikings a sec, though.
Oh, yeah.
How accurate is it? Like,
Sorry. It's all of the main characters and the names and everything are all based on real people from back then, real like legendary Viking heroes and that sort of thing. All the battles and stuff and the dates and everything else are all based on, and the places are all pretty historically accurate. Okay. Obviously, it's been dramatized.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's as far as most TV shows go. Maybe everything didn't happen quite as it's made out to be, of course, but it's the characters, the names, and everything else are real, which is what I find really interesting.
I don't know what it was. I think it was the first episode, but I was like, just said to Chrissy afterwards, I was like, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder how accurate it was.
Yeah.
And we typed it in, and then like this big fan base thing come up, and it's like, it's really quite bang on. Mm-hmm. The Vikings were just ruthless, weren't they? Hardcore. Do you know, like that blood eagleness?
Oh, yeah.
That episode just stung me.
One thing I find really interesting about the Vikings being pagans, and they didn't record any history, they didn't write anything down. Whereas obviously the Saxons were Christians and they recorded everything. Some people see that as sort of, what a shame that the Vikings didn't record things, which I kind of get. But at the same time, I think it leaves the entire era just open to imagination. Yeah, so it's
definitely.
You know what I mean? So all you get, it's quite a big thing at the minute. Like The Last Kingdom, there's loads of programs and films coming out about that era because there's so much much room to play with.
Yeah, I heard something said the other day that sort of pricked my ears up. But a guy was like, history is his story. And when I got like, do you know, one of them like bombshells, like, it is just like what people chose to document, chose to write. So when I was watching it, I was like, I wonder how accurate they can get with the Vikings. It's something I didn't really know. So finding out that there's a lot of scope and a lot of unknown in it does make it so fascinating. Yeah,
and apart from archaeological discoveries, say in Scandinavia and the hell of a lot in the UK, it's mainly what's written about the Vikings has been written about the Christians who were being raided by the Vikings. So that's why you think of Vikings and you think notorious raiders, murderers. When most of them were just farmers. Even the warriors that came over were just farmers. And they'd be fighting, that's why they used axes, because they couldn't afford swords. They were just farmers. So they'd have an axe because that's what they used in their day-to-day life. And when they went on a raid, they'd just bring whatever they had with them. So it's like, but history's written by the victors, so it's the Christians are writing about how horrible and evil these people were, and I'm sure they did terrible things at the same time, but who didn't in history? And then it's you know what I mean? It's like
100%. Yeah.
So you see that side of it, but there's more to it than that.
I heard I did a lot of travelling instead of going to school and things like that. I got a one-way ticket ASAP to Australia. I went with my mate.
Oh wow.
And then I got the bug for it, so I went to South Africa for a year and just went travelling. But doing all that, you meet so many people.
Yeah.
And I met people from all over the world, and it was really interesting meeting Americans in particular, and their sort of conditioning or lessons or what they're taught and in their education system God, it's fascinating what people build up of an idea of an English person,
Yes.
or what people build up of a certain person. And it really did, when I heard that thing yesterday, like, history is his story, it's all conditioned in what you're being told a lot of the time. So I've got this feeling inside me at the minute where I just want to learn all about, like, the past, and it's exciting me now. I'm sort of like, oh, there's so much I can find out about.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Native Americans as well. That's another sort of period in history that fascinates me. Is that sounds really cheesy, but I kind of see a Native American as the pinnacle of freedom. You know, they had all this land before the white settlers came over, and you know, I like imagine just riding a horse with your shirt off with a bow and arrow and long hair, thinking, "I'm a badass."
We're going.
And
We're having it. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, one thing that really shocks me about, say, American history is the atrocities that happened to the Native Americans, and they were just the vast majority of the entire population was just wiped out, and it just seems to be very rarely mentioned. Like, they just went, "Oh, it's easy for us to forget about that."
And then they give them one day of the year, like Native American Day.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
like, come on, like we're doing a good job. We still think of them. Like,
Yep.
maybe give them some land back.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think like that entire culture, similar to the Vikings, with it not being documented, I just find that fascinating.
It must be really weird. Like, one day you're living on this land, you're chilling out, you've just caught an animal, you brought it back to your tribe, you're eating this animal, and then some people come up and go, this is our land now.
Yeah.
And first of all, they're like, well, we don't even own this land. This is just land we live on and get food from. And then people came over and absolutely terrorized and wrecked it.
Yeah, of course. And like, I was reading something the other day about one of the chiefs at the time of one of the bigger Native American tribes. When they marched them across America, when they removed them from their land, they called it the Trail of Tears, where children were just dropping out of exhaustion, and women and children and men were starving to death because they were just being shoved off their land and just lost everything. Wow. And then a lot of the Native American people went through, say, alcoholism and that sort of thing because they'd lost their entire identity and they had nothing left.
Well, genuinely, that is something that's still going on and still found in Australia, the Aboriginals.
Yeah.
I went and lived in Cairns for a bit, and I was just in this like party resort. It's literally like Magaluf, the Australian Magaluf. So it was good fun. But there'd be days where I'd be in my hostel chilling out, and some Aboriginal would come in. They'd have like a big machete thing, drunk out their mind, and just be like raving it about, and everyone would be like demonizing them.
Yeah.
But then I did a little bit of soul searching there. Went to more history museums and places, and I was like, I've actually seen a glimpse of them people that they got their land stolen from and took off, and it hit me quite hard one day. I just and then they'd always be coming on the park and they'd always be drunk. Like, I built up this concept of Aboriginal people, Aborigines, and I was like, oh, they're just scary, they're bad, they're drunks, and all, if you just press that red button again,
yeah,
sorry,
mate.
move the camera. Beautiful. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, great. And I as an English person, I just built up this idea, went and learnt about the history, and I was like, oh, wow, there's a massive
tragedy,
story
innit?
to this. And again, you learn about their traditions, you learn about their religion, like beliefs and everything like that, and you're like, oh no,
Yeah.
people just like come and write all over it and put their story into it, and it's like there's so much you're not told and so much
Absolutely.
to do. So I see why you're such a fan of history.
I love like the learning about different tribes and things like that as well. Like I say, like the Native American tribes, and we spent quite a lot of time now in Kenya with Ferocious Dog, and we've been on. February was the third time we've been over, and every time we'll go over, play some shows in Nairobi in a festival, and then we've been on safari in the Masai Mara, and we've met the Masai guys and been to the Masai village and that sort of thing, which is right sort of up my street in terms of history and just fascinating stuff. And we went. There was me and one of the other guys in the band went on a hike back in Feb up one of the mountains in the Mara with 4 Masai guys just dressed in the red cloaks that they wear with the machetes and the spears. And you're just walking over the mountain, there's trees, bushes everywhere. And there could be anything. You could walk around the corner and there's a leopard in the tree, a lion there. And they're just not fussed at all because they've just done it for thousands of years. They're just walking through. And every so often I'd go, so what happens if we see a lion? And they were like, just keep walking, pretend you've not seen it. And I was like, not sure I can do that.
It all gets a
And-
bit real.
And I started asking about all the different animals, what to do if they come at you. Say water buffalo, one of the most dangerous because he's so unpredictable and so aggressive. They said lie on the floor because they can't get you with their horns because they got a short neck. Or elephant run downhill and zigzag because their ears fall in front of their face and they can't run downhill. Then I said leopard, and he just went, "Oh, if a leopard's going to get you, it's going to get you."
Yeah.
I was like, good to know.
Wow.
But that was great, just seeing life in their perspective, and that's just normal for them. It was just insane.
I think that's the thing I miss the most at the minute in my life is the moments of like the unknown, moments of like just being somewhere. I did the not boar trekker. It was in South Africa. It's one of the biggest wildlife places you can go. And I'll think of it; it'll come to me. But we were with this guy, this guide, and he's just talking about the big five. Talking about all these animals. We were on this big drive. I was really excited. You were outside, so you're in this buggy sort of thing, and you're driving around for the whole day and looking at wildlife. And we got confronted with this elephant, and I'll never forget the moment where the guy's voice changed in pitch, and he's the one looking after you, and he's like so confident, so in control, all these things, and then the elephant comes sort of out of nowhere, and we're parked up, and he stops, and he's like, "Right, everyone be quiet." Mate, and I was like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah.
And he knew, like, well, you know, in this buggy, we're not safe. And they will just, if there's youngsters about, they'll stampede you and things like that. The moment of just feeling anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And they own that land.
Yeah.
That's what I find so fascinating. We did loads of game drives, and it's just like, the fact that you can go out and see nothing is where the excitement comes from. You've got to be alert all day, and you're watching, and somebody will go lion, and then they'll put the brakes on, and then you can sort of work out where there's a pride of lion and go over and see them and that. We had one this time again in Kenya when we saw we'd seen the male earlier on, like quite far away because the males tend to wander on their own, and then we'd seen the females. We came across them with 5 little cubs, and they looked adorable. But that's when they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And because they see a lot of jeeps, one of the mums and the muscle, they're just terrifying to look at. You're like, how can something that badass actually exist? And it came up, and I had my window right down, red hot like African sun, and it was literally there. Like I could have stroked it, and I was like, got the window up. And the safari guy's like, no, it's all right as long as you stay calm. And I'm just like, nope.
Yeah. And because usually they've got to just keep a chilled attitude about them at all point, even if they think, oh, it's going down. They've just got to go, yeah, you're all cool.
Yeah.
So the moment I found my guy was like panicking a bit. I thought, we are actually in the shit here. It was funny because we go on like tours together with people. We live in a hostel, and you're all living in these weird conditions, and you'd book like little excursion days out together.
Yeah.
So we picked our favourite people in this group, and we're like, go out. And it was this guy that never lost his cool. He was the coolest, chillest guy ever. And then when he did, I hit all the panic buttons. Everything went. Are you gonna, after Corona, after COVID, and all these things, have you got much planned, or has everything just been shut down now?
It has for the time being. We were supposed to do a full UK tour with Ferocious Dog in April. That was supposed to finish at Leadmill in Sheffield, which is well on its way to selling out. That would have been amazing.
Wow.
But we've managed to reschedule all of that for later in the year. Still touch and go at the minute. Might end up being next spring, depending on what the regulations say. Festival season's pretty much out the window, innit? Which is such a shame because it's like every weekend now. Like I was saying to Lewis the other day, I spent years working so that I can have a full calendar all year with different bands. And between Ferocious Dog, Jake Martin and the Broken Bodies and Concrete Rose, I had a full summer and then just like that, gone. So I've been all right in the lockdown because I'm trying not to dwell on it, if you know what I mean. Although every weekend I sort of think, should be here now, should be there. It's a bit, but then I just, right from the beginning, I thought, this is what's happening. Nothing I can do about it. What's the point in sitting at home sulking?
Have you learnt any discoveries about yourself during lockdown? Have you had any moments of clarity or feeling of...
To be honest, apart from like I say, missing out on things and knowing all the gigs and the festivals are gone, I've kind of enjoyed it in a way. Like, because like I say, I've started learning guitar. I'm practicing drums more than ever, and I playing the djembe a lot. You know, like I played on the bus at this gig,
that was beautiful.
the African hand drum, which is just an incredible instrument, and it's like it's complete. As soon as I got that djembe, it just took my imagination and just ran with it, and I'm loving that. Been doing quite a lot of working out and stuff, as much as you can be expected to at home. So,
Did you work out? Like, I'm not. Do you work
Ouch.
out? No, do you like
Take a deep
training?
breath.
Do you... Are you into your training?
yeah, very much so. I was when I first I was big on the gym. I used to go like 6 times a week before I joined Ferocious Dog. Then I joined the band, and I was still working at the time for the first few months.
I
Oh yeah,
know that body.
Oh yeah, and then so like I had to sort of knock the gym on the head because I was so busy between working and playing with Ferocious Dog all the time. Then it got to a point where I stopped working and went professional with Ferocious Dog. But I'd already gotten out of the habit, and I was like, we were gigging all the time, drinking all the time, and I kind of lost it a bit. And then about maybe nearly a year ago now, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go back to the gym. And then I just got the bug again straight away like that. And I was smashing it for a long time before this come in and the gym's closed. But yeah, I will be doing afterwards as well.
There's no greater feeling for me than after a really hard gym session.
Oh,
And
yeah.
There's also no feeling of not doing that. I spent a week, I've got onto this YouTube tutorial thing now, not even tutorial, but a guy called Joe Wicks.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know him? He's a body coach.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody told me about him. I thought, I'll give it a go. I need to do something. And I just felt so much better. I'd not done it for 2 weeks in lockdown. I thought, the gym will be open again. Realised it wasn't going to open again. I was like, what am I going to do? Just doing 20 minutes in your living room and doing a few sit-ups, some press-ups, and finding little bits you can do. It's been so beneficial for me and my mental health.
Absolutely.
Massive.
I'm the same. We're doing so me and my sister, we've got quite an intense ab workout that we do every other day.
Okay.
And then
See him?
you're not paying me enough for that. And then every day that I'm not doing that, I'll go on a run over because we lived near a couple of hills at Pit Tip, so we go around them. And then, but even just say you're out running I only do like a mile and a half or something, so it's not long at all. Yeah. But I get home and I'm just like, and that, cause ever since, for as long as I can remember, I've always had this thing about productivity. And if I've not been productive, then it just eats away at me. So, you know, if I wake up in the morning and I think, oh, I'm going to watch an episode of Vikings or something, and I'll be sat chilling, I can't quite relax because it's in the back of my head going, it's like, you should be practicing your drums, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then,
totally.
So what I do is I get up, I go straight on the drums, I spend most of the day playing, then I'll play some guitar and I'll do some exercise or whatever, and then I'll chill out, and then it's only then when I know I've been productive and I'm a better person than I was yesterday, only then can I relax and enjoy myself. But
have you had that ingrained into you in any way? Because I have, but I think mine's turned into a little bit of it's obsessive now.
Oh yeah, I'm the same.
My mum would come in because she's a business owner and she's just been so driven all her life.
Yeah.
So she'd kind of come in, and if I'm not doing something, I get screamed at. To be honest, I don't know if you've seen her shouting, but she's a scary lady.
I haven't.
She's a direct, she knows she is.
I'd like to.
Yeah, well, you just watch your horse be naughty for 2 seconds. Not naughty anymore, put it that way. But she'd come in and she'd really tell you directly, you've got to do something. And for a bit, my silly childlike self went the other way. So I get into drugs and smoking and all them silly things because I rebelled.
Yeah.
But now I'm straightened up a little bit. I'm starting a family, doing these things and trying to be a better person every day. I've been left with some scars to go, which are good scars sometimes, but I've got to constantly be on the go. I've got to be making, I've got to be creating, and if not, I'm a failure. And I think, again, like everything, balance is important.
Of course.
I've not got that yet because I feel such a disappointment to myself if I've not done something.
Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. I mean, at the same time, despite saying that, I am a really, really laid back person, but it's like it works both ways because like I say, I have to be productive and then I can chill out, and I'm more than happy to do whatever as long as I've done something that I can be proud of that day or whatever. But it's not like I didn't necessarily have it ingrained. It was just sort of, for as long as I can remember, particularly with music and drums, it's always been there. And then I'm thankful for it because if it wasn't there, then I wouldn't be anything like the drummer I am today. Because there'd have been days when I'd have gone, you know what, I can't be arsed. I'm going to play FIFA, or you know what I mean.
And there must just be them moments in your career, in your life, where you've just played the biggest stage ever, thousands of people for yourself, which is incredible, and performed at the top level and just reflected back and gone, thank God I didn't fucking give up.
Yeah, absolutely, all the time. And then it's like, when you do shows like that, you just come off stage and you just think, that's what it was all for. And then you enjoy yourself. So like you play the shows and it's just you have the best time ever, and then you get hammered after, and then you go and do another one the following day or whatever, and then you just like, and then when you're back at home and you're practicing again, I think now I know what I'm doing it all for. If you know what I mean.
Hey, do you think Ferocious Dog done any acoustic sessions before? And
We have done quite a few acoustic things actually, so it definitely worth.
Interesting. I'll investigate. What's the process? What do I do?
I can sort you out with a phone number.
Put a number there for me. I'd look at, because again, like in Ripley particularly, you've got such a following as well down here. Everybody in Ripley is like, I'm walking down the street, I'm just seeing like Ferocious Dog shirts, and I'm like, oh, Alex is a right good lad.
Right, good lad.
He's a right good lad. Well, that's brilliant. I love that you've got fans all over the world, fans in local areas. It's a really hearty band, isn't it?
It's very much so.
Feel good band.
Yeah, and I've met people that'll be sort of really, really close friends for the rest of my life. And it's weird, like getting messages that'll say like, "Oh, it's me, my daughter's 13th or something. Will you send a video of you wishing her happy birthday?"
Oh, wow.
I'm like, "What do you want one of them from me for?" But all right. Yeah, it's weird. Or when you speak to people at gigs and stuff, people that have been following the band for years and that, and they sort of like a little bit, "Oh wow." I just think
glimpses of this with Concrete Rose as well. Are there moments of people randomly messaging and saying, "Can we have a birthday message?"
Yeah, we have. We've had a few actually. Or like say, "Oh, I've ordered a top for my son's whatever birthday. Will you put a little note in there for him or a signed picture as well?" And that sort of thing. Yeah, it's very. I love stuff like that.
That's the beauty of music, isn't it? That's the universal side coming through.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter who you are, what journey you've been on, what sort of person you are. When you've played a gig, when you're a musician and you're showing your art, people just connect with you on some other crazy level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't be really described, can it?
No, it's just the best feeling in the world. And then, one of my favourite things to do, say we've had a run of gigs or something, or festivals, say you're doing on a weekend, and we'll do a big show. I love the Sunday when you're hungover as though, and you just feel horrible, but at the same time you're thinking, that was mint. You know what I mean? Like what we just did yesterday or whatever. You're like,
Yeah.
or like coming off stage when you've just smashed a show, and then you just go, right, let's get on it. And then I always liken it to being on a stag do with your mates, but every weekend, because it's like when we're playing together, because it is just a group of silly mates that want to get hammered and enjoy themselves playing a bit of music at the same time. It is just like being on a stag do.
It's totally the one thing I must admit I'm envious of my friends of now. Like I look at, because do you know like a football chant or something as well, or when you're on a stag do or football? I used to play football. I've done my knee in now. I can't play. I bloody miss that, like chanting together or lads,
the camaraderie.
Lads, all
absolutely.
that. Like, but there's something tribal in there, deep rooted.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'm part of something. I'm fully involved. Everybody's going, and there's no crazier, great come up than that.
Oh, of course, yeah,
feeling.
absolutely.
Being a solo artist, doing solo shows, doing solo missions all the time, it is the one thing I fully miss out on. So I've got envy towards it, but when I see it as well, I'm like, oh, that's got to be the nicest feeling.
Yeah, it's the same as like, say people obsess over football for all their lives and being a part of that team. It's exactly the same principle, but it's like Ferocious Dog was really interesting because they're all a bit older than me, or certainly the guys that were in the band when I joined, who were like, it was great to see blokes that are older and they've got families, they've got houses and kids, and they've got all their lives together, who were just as silly and immature as I am. And it just makes you realise that I'm going to be the same when I'm their age, and I'm still going to love a good time. I'm still going to want to go out and get hammered.
They've got families as well now.
But
kids and...
Yeah, until recently, our new guitarist Ryan joined. All of them have got kids.
Okay, wow. How old's the new guitarist Ryan?
He's a year older than me. He's 25.
Oh, wicked. So you've got some youth in there now
yeah.
too.
But yeah, we're called... There's like a gang of us that sort of... Because after shows, we've got the bus with the beds on and that. So it's like... when we're touring, there's always been a gang. A couple of them might get hotels and stuff if they want to get to bed, but there's always been a gang of us that are always just every show are like, yeah, let's smash it, and then we'll go straight out afterwards, and we'll end up crashing on the bus, or we'll go back to the bus when everywhere closes and have a few on there again, and then because you go to bed at like 7:30 or something on the bunk, and then you just wake up outside the next venue at like 3:00 in the afternoon and time for sound check.
What's the bus like?
It's sick. I love it.
Is it?
In fact, I don't think it's quite as long as this one, but we've got. So you come on, there's up cupboards, my drums go in the body of the bus, then there's the massive boot at the back for all the instruments and everything else. And then as you walk through, there's like a walkway, there's 3 bunks on each side.
Yeah.
So we've all got our own bunk. And then at the back, there's like a communal like living area with tables and stuff, or boozing area usually.
That's
That's
so
great.
cool.
And that's another thing that it like, in terms of the camaraderie is that when you finish your show, you ain't got to pile into cars and then be like, oh, I need a piss. And you know what I mean? You ain't all got to split up and go your separate ways. Everybody piles onto the bus and you get the music on and everybody drinks together.
That's, yeah. Okay, I said empty, but I'm getting a bit jealous. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's good fun. So some of our best memories about being on tour happen on the bus and happen after shows as well as actually playing the shows themselves.
Well, here's my proposition. Like, when Concrete Rose are at this level, I'm the bus driver. That's
Done.
all I ask.
Done.
It's
Yeah.
happening. I promise we can kit out this.
I was just going to say that. Kit this one out. I've already got some great memories on this bus. So
Yeah. That was such a good gig, that was.
I love that.
I was, again, saying on a podcast yesterday, like, first getting the business, starting up the buses, like, may have at some point have a vanity aspect to it. And, I was like, oh, I can start a business, look cool, do this. But that is the moment for me where it calmed that ego side of things down. Lots of things calmed down because you guys got on, performed. I got up to do another one of the song, looked out, but everybody, you guys made everyone so happy. I looked out at all these smiling faces, people like, this is a bit different, this is new. And I think I cried actually. I had that moment, but I was like, oh my God, like, what's being created is so much more than I could have comprehended, I could have imagined. And I suppose you guys get that after every gig.
Yeah, always in some sense. It's the gig on here was it'll always be one of my favourite gigs, no matter the size or you know what I mean. It was just the atmosphere in here. I was hammered and all when we played, and it because we were laughing on the videos as well because every single time I stop playing, it's like it becomes like a habit almost. I'm the same when I'm playing the drums because I was playing djembe and cajon for that gig. But when you're playing the drums, the minute I'm not playing, just without thinking about it, you get into like the habit of reach for a drink. You know what I mean? Then you come off stage and you're like,
You absolutely wanked it.
yeah. But that gig was just brilliant. And then everybody stayed afterwards. Me and Chloe stopped in my car and it was freezing.
Wow, you couldn't come inside,
We were up until it must have been about maybe 6 o'clock. We were on that other bus, and me and Chloe finally said, "Right, we're freezing. We're going to go to sleep in car." And then Lewis said, then after me and Chloe lying there all night, like, Lewis come out, or he texted me the next day going, "Oh yeah, about 10 minutes after you went in, we all went in house and stopped in there. It was lovely." I was like, "What?" I thought it was always agreed that we were all camping. I was fuming with it. Like, why don't you just bang on the window and let us know?
Mine and Chrissy's side is just an open door policy, to be honest. We go to bed and I wake up in the morning, there's 20 bodies on the floor. Perfect. And they're all alive, by the way, people. Like, amazing. So with Concrete Rose, I just want to get this in. Like, have you got more music videos on the way? I'm really gutted for you because I know this single that you brought out, there was going to be a big gig for that, wasn't there?
That was tonight, yeah.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, we had Rough Trade
so
Nottingham booked for tonight with plenty of special guests. That was going to be sick. It was free entry as well. No reason for you not to be there. And then big celebration. But yeah, it's again, can't be helped. So
you've spoke to the guys, you've all spoke about it and gone, right, when it's all back on, we're going to get these gigs. Would you come back here? Would you do another one?
Oh, absolutely, we'd come back here, yeah.
Awesome.
100,000%.
I have to think of a good list for that. They got a good 3. Concrete Rose, boom, boom, boom. We're going to get something there.
Yeah, man.
Alex, it's been a genuine pleasure. You are up there in my top 10. I always say this, but you are definitely in my top 10 people.
Thank you.
I'd love to have you on again. I'd love to have Concrete Rose performing again.
The feeling's mutual.
Thank you for being here. I'd high five you, but obviously,
I know.
the time.
That'll do.
I'll be one of them. Good luck, guys. Thank you for joining. If you're joining this long, what is up with you?
I know, get a life.
Honestly, thank you so much, man. You're a pleasure.